The week waiting for the council's decision felt like an eternity. Aaron, Clara, and Daniel spent their days monitoring the settlement, ensuring everything remained in order. The humans worked tirelessly, determined to prove that their efforts were genuine. But beneath the surface, uncertainty lingered. What if all their hard work wasn't enough? What if the council decided Earth should remain vacant forever? Finally, the day of the verdict arrived. The council's ship descended slowly, its sleek frame casting a shadow over the settlement. Aaron stood at the front of the group, his heart pounding as the delegates stepped out. Lyra was among them, her calm demeanor offering a small sense of hope. Ethan, however, looked as stern as ever. The council gathered in a clearing, and Lyra stepped forward to speak. Her voice carried authority, but also compassion. "We have deliberated carefully," she began. "This trial has shown us that humanity is capable of change, but it has also reminded us of the fragility of Earth. The decision we make today will shape not only this planet but the galaxy." Aaron held his breath, bracing himself for what came next. "The Council has agreed to grant Earth back to humanity, but with conditions," Lyra continued. A murmur rippled through the crowd. "Earth will be declared a shared sanctuary, open to all species who wish to learn from its recovery. Humanity must continue to live sustainably and work alongside other civilizations to ensure its preservation." Ethan frowned deeply, but said nothing, a sign that the decision had been reached despite his objections. Rachel let out a quiet gasp, tears welling up in her eyes. The humans exchanged glances, relief and gratitude washing over them. Clara stepped forward, her voice steady. "Thank you. We won't take this responsibility lightly. Humanity understands the mistakes of the past, and we're ready to build a better future." Lyra nodded. "That is our hope. But remember, this is not just about reclaiming Earth. It is about proving that coexistence is possible, not just here, but across the stars." As the council prepared to leave, Aaron approached Lyra. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. She smiled faintly. "Now you begin again. Earth has been given a second chance, and so has humanity. Use it wisely." With that, the council departed, leaving the settlement bathed in sunlight. The humans gathered together, their faces filled with determination. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Earth's scars ran deep, and earning the trust of the galaxy would take time. But they also knew they had taken the first step toward healing, not just their planet, but themselves. Aaron stood at the edge of the forest, watching as Rachel planted a sapling in the soil. Daniel joined him, clapping a hand on his shoulder. "We did it," Daniel said simply. "Not perfectly, but we did it." Aaron nodded, a small smile forming. "Yeah, and this is just the beginning." In the distance, birds chirped, and the wind rustled through the trees. Earth was alive again, and so was humanity. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by the belief that even the gravest mistakes could lead to growth. For the first time in years, Aaron felt true hope, not just for Earth, but for the galaxy. The day of the Council's inspection arrived sooner than anyone expected. Aaron, Clara, and Daniel spent the night before preparing the settlement for the visitors. Every detail mattered. The cleanliness of the living quarters, the health of the crops, the clarity of the rivers. They wanted to show that humanity wasn't just capable of surviving on Earth, but thriving in harmony with it. When the council representatives landed, their expressions were unreadable. Some looked curious, others skeptical, and a few seemed outright hostile. Ethan, the outspoken counselor who had opposed the trial from the start, stepped forward immediately. "Let's see what you've accomplished," he said coldly, his sharp eyes scanning the area. Aaron led the group through the settlement, explaining each aspect of their work. He showed them the solar panels powering the community, the water filtration systems cleaning nearby streams, and the fields of crops grown without chemicals. Rachel demonstrated how native plants had been reintroduced to damaged areas, attracting wildlife that had once vanished. "This is impressive," one of the observers admitted, bending down to examine a patch of wildflowers. "It seems like real progress." Ethan scowled. "Progress? This is nothing more than a performance. How do we know they won't revert to their old ways once we leave?" Clara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You don't know for sure, and neither do we. But what you see here isn't an act. These people have worked tirelessly to prove they can live responsibly. Give them time, and they'll show you even more." The inspection continued, with mixed reactions from the council members. Some nodded approvingly at the restored ecosystems, while others remained unconvinced. Tensions reached a peak when Ethan confronted Rachel during a demonstration of sustainable farming techniques. "You call this efficient?" he snapped, gesturing at the small plots of land. "At this rate, it would take decades to feed billions. Humanity's needs are too great for such slow methods." Rachel met his gaze without flinching. "Maybe our needs were part of the problem. We thought we could take whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. But Earth has limits, and so do we. If we respect those limits, everyone benefits." Her words struck a chord, even with some of Ethan's allies. Lyra, the neutral mediator, stepped forward. "She's right," she said gently. "This trial isn't about speed or convenience. It's about balance, and from what I've seen, these humans are learning to strike that balance." Despite moments of tension, the inspection ended on a cautiously optimistic note. The council agreed to deliberate and return with their decision within a week. As they left, Aaron felt both relief and dread. They had done everything they could, but was it enough? Back at the settlement, the group gathered around a campfire to discuss what came next. Daniel broke the silence first. "No matter what happens, we've already changed something important. We've shown that humanity can adapt, if given the chance." Rachel nodded. "And if we fail, at least we tried. That's better than giving up." Aaron stared into the flames, his mind racing. He knew the council's decision wouldn't be easy. Too many species had stakes in Earth's fate. Some saw it as a resource, others as a symbol. But deep down, he believed humanity deserved another chance. Not because they were perfect, but because they were willing to try. As the fire crackled softly, Aaron made a silent promise. Whether the council ruled in their favor or not, he would keep fighting. For Earth, for humanity, and for a future where mistakes could lead to growth instead of destruction. The council's decision came after days of intense debate. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. A trial would be allowed. Small groups of humans would return to Earth under strict supervision. If they could demonstrate sustainable living practices and coexistence with the planet, Earth would be declared theirs again. If not, humanity would remain in their new world, and Earth would stay preserved as a neutral zone. Aaron, Clara, and Daniel were tasked with overseeing the trial. They knew the stakes were high. Success would mean a new beginning for humanity. Failure could mean permanent exile. As they prepared to leave for Earth, Aaron couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. When they arrived back on Earth, the planet seemed almost eager to welcome them. The air was fresh, the forests lush, and the ocean sparkling under the sunlight. It was hard to believe this same place had once been on the brink of collapse. But Aaron reminded himself that appearances could be deceiving. Beneath the surface, Earth was still fragile. The first group of humans chosen for the trial stepped off the ship with a mix of excitement and nervousness. There were farmers, scientists, engineers, and even artists, all selected for their skills and willingness to adapt. Among them was Rachel, a young biologist who had spent years studying ecosystems in the New World. Her eyes lit up as she took her first steps on Earth's soil. "This is incredible," she whispered, kneeling to touch the ground. "It feels alive." Clara smiled, though her expression remained cautious. "It is alive, and it's counting on us to keep it that way." The group set to work immediately, building small, eco-friendly settlements powered by renewable energy. They planted crops using sustainable farming techniques and worked to restore damaged habitats. Every action was carefully monitored, not just by Aaron and his team, but also by representatives from the Galactic Council who had come to observe. At first, progress was slow but steady. The humans adapted quickly, their determination evident in every task they undertook. Rachel led efforts to reintroduce native plant species, while others focused on purifying water sources and reducing waste. Even Daniel, who had initially doubted humanity's ability to change, found himself impressed by their resilience. But challenges soon arose. Some members of the group struggled with the limitations imposed by the trial. Why can't we use machines to speed things up? One man asked during a meeting. We're working twice as hard for half the results. Aaron shook his head firmly. Because that's how we got into trouble in the first place. We have to do this the right way, even if it takes longer. Tensions flared occasionally, but the group pushed through, driven by the hope of reclaiming their home. Slowly, signs of recovery began to appear. Rivers ran cleaner, wildlife returned, and crops flourished without chemical interference. The observers from the council noted these changes with cautious optimism. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Aaron stood at the edge of a restored forest. Clara joined him, holding a tablet filled with data from the past weeks. "We're doing it," she said softly. "They're proving they can live here responsibly." Aaron nodded, but his gaze remained distant. For now. But the real test will come when the council sees this. Will it be enough to convince them? Clara didn't answer. She didn't need to. Both of them knew the trial wasn't just about science or sustainability. It was about trust. And rebuilding that trust wouldn't be easy. As the stars emerged in the night sky, Aaron felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had made mistakes, but they were learning. Earth deserved another chance. And so did they. The neutral faction's words lingered in Aaron's mind long after the meeting ended. Another way. What did that even mean? The galaxy was divided, with some species demanding Earth's return to humanity and others insisting it remain untouched. Amid the chaos, Aaron, Clara, and Daniel found themselves caught between opposing sides, unsure whom to trust. Clara sat at a small table in their quarters, poring over notes from their journey. Her brow furrowed as she traced lines on a map of Earth's solar system. "We need to think bigger," she said finally, looking up at Aaron and Daniel. "This isn't just about humans or aliens. It's about balance." The overseers acted because they saw imbalance. If we want Earth back, we have to show them, and everyone else, that humanity can do better. Daniel leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Easier said than done. How do you prove something like that? It's not like we can snap our fingers and fix centuries of mistakes overnight." Aaron nodded slowly. "But maybe we don't have to. Maybe we start small, by bringing both sides together. Show them that cooperation is possible." Clara's eyes lit up. "What if we propose a trial? Let a group of humans return to Earth under strict supervision. If they can prove they've changed, if they can live sustainably, then Earth becomes theirs again. If not, well, at least we tried." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You really think the council will go for that? Half of them are ready to declare war over this." "It's risky," Aaron admitted, "but it's better than doing nothing. If we can get enough support, even from the neutral factions, we might have a chance." The next day, they presented their idea to Lyra, the calm alien who had tried to mediate during the council's heated debate. She listened intently, her expression unreadable. When they finished, she placed her hands on the table and sighed softly. "This could work," she said finally, "but it won't be easy. Many will resist the idea of letting humans return, even temporarily. You'll need allies." Aaron nodded. "That's where the neutrals come in. They're already interested. If we can get them on board, maybe others will follow." Lying awake that night, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that their proposal was just the beginning. Even if the council agreed, there would still be resistance, from militant factions, from fearful species, even from within humanity itself. Not everyone wanted to return to Earth. Some had grown attached to their new world, seeing it as a fresh start free from the burdens of the past. The next morning, news spread quickly through the council chambers. Ethan, the fiery counselor, wasted no time voicing his opposition. A trial. You expect us to hand over a planet based on some vague promise of change. This is madness. Others were more cautious but still skeptical. How do we ensure humanity won't repeat their mistakes? Asked a delegate from a water-based species. Words aren't enough. Aaron stepped forward, his voice steady despite the rising tension. It's not just words. It's action. Let us show you what humanity is capable of. Give us a chance to earn Earth back, not as conquerors, but as stewards. To his surprise, several delegates nodded in agreement. Even Ethan hesitated, though his scowl remained firmly in place. Slowly, grudgingly, the council began to consider the idea. As the discussion continued, Aaron felt a flicker of hope. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity's fate, and Earth's place in the galaxy, would depend on their ability to prove they had truly changed. The journey back to the galaxy felt longer than the trip to the new world. Aaron, Clara, and Daniel sat in silence aboard their ship, each lost in their own thoughts. They had uncovered the truth about Earth's vacancy, but it wasn't the kind of story that could be easily shared. How would the rest of the galaxy react? Would they see the Overseer's actions as noble, or as an act of theft? When they finally reached the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was tense. News of their discovery had spread quickly, thanks to the Council's intelligence networks. Delegates from across the galaxy gathered in the Grand Hall, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Some whispered about humanity's relocation as a miracle, while others accused the Overseers of imperialism. Aaron stood at the center of the room, flanked by Clara and Daniel. He cleared his throat, trying to steady his nerves. "We went to Earth," he began, his voice firm despite the weight of attention on him. "What we found wasn't destruction or death. Humanity is alive, but they've been moved." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Ethan, a counselor known for his fiery speeches, stepped forward. His sharp features twisted into a scowl. Moved? By whom? And why wasn't this discussed with the rest of us? Clara took over, her tone calm but authoritative. By beings called the Overseers. They intervened because they believed Earth was dying, and that humanity would destroy itself if left unchecked. Relocation was their solution. Ethan's eyes narrowed. So they just took them, without permission. What gives these Overseers the right to interfere? Daniel spoke up, his deep voice cutting through the growing tension. It's not about rights. It's about survival. The Overseers showed us data. Earth's ecosystems were collapsing. Humanity couldn't fix it in time. If they hadn't acted, billions would have died. The room erupted into arguments. Some delegates shouted in outrage, accusing the Overseers of arrogance. Others defended them, saying the intervention saved lives. Amid the chaos, a soft-spoken alien named Lyra raised her hand, her pale green skin glowing faintly under the lights. "Enough," she said gently, but her voice carried authority. The room fell silent. "What matters now," Lyra continued, "is what happens next. Humanity has been given a second chance, but who decides their future? Do they stay in this new world, or do they return to Earth?" Aaron stepped forward again. "That's the question we need to answer together." The Overseers made it clear they won't dictate humanity's path forever. But returning to Earth isn't simple. It means proving they can live sustainably, without repeating the mistakes that led to their relocation. Ethan scoffed. "And how do we know they're capable of that? Humans are ambitious, reckless. Letting them go back might only lead to more problems. For them and for us." Clara shook her head. "Humanity deserves a chance to prove themselves. We can't judge an entire species based on their past. Besides, leaving Earth empty isn't the solution. It's a wasted opportunity." The debate raged on, with no clear resolution in sight. As the council argued, Aaron noticed something unexpected. A small group of aliens quietly observing the proceedings. They weren't part of the council, but seemed deeply interested in the discussion. One of them caught his eye and nodded slightly, as if acknowledging his role in uncovering the truth. Later, as the session adjourned, Aaron approached the group. "Who are you?" he asked cautiously. "We represent neutral factions," one of them replied. "We believe Earth's fate shouldn't be decided by politics alone. Perhaps there's another way." Aaron exchanged a glance with Clara and Daniel. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but one thing was certain. The decision about Earth's future would shape not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The overseer's words hung heavy in the air, their calm tone doing little to ease the tension in Aaron's chest. He glanced at Clara and Daniel, both of whom looked as conflicted as he felt. Humanity had been saved, but not by choice. The idea that an alien force had decided Earth's fate without consulting its people was hard to swallow. "Why didn't you give us a chance?" Aaron asked, his voice firm despite the unease swirling inside him. "We could have fixed our planet. We were trying." One of the glowing figures tilted its head slightly, as if considering his words. "Your efforts were insufficient," it replied. "Earth's ecosystems were beyond repair. Even with your best intentions, humanity would have driven itself to extinction within decades." Clara stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "But relocation, taking everyone away like this, it's extreme. You didn't even explain yourselves. Do you know how much fear and confusion you caused?" The overseer's gaze shifted to her, its expression unreadable. "Fear is a natural response to change. Yet, we acted out of necessity, not malice. Would you rather we had allowed your species to perish along with your world?" Daniel crossed his arms, his frustration evident. "You talk about saving us, but what gives you the right? Who are you to decide what happens to Earth, or to us?" The beam paused, as if weighing its response. "We are guardians of balance in the universe. When a species threatens the harmony of existence, intervention becomes necessary. Your relocation ensures not only your survival, but also the preservation of Earth, a gift for future generations." Aaron frowned. A gift. Leaving Earth empty feels more like abandonment than preservation. The overseer's glow dimmed slightly, almost as if it sensed their resistance. Earth remains untouched, so it may heal. In time, it can once again become a home, if humanity chooses to return responsibly. Clara shook her head. "And what about now? What happens to the humans here? Are they prisoners? Refugees?" The figure gestured toward the bustling city behind them. "They are free to build anew. Here, they live without the burdens that plagued their old world. Pollution, war, overconsumption. This place offers them a second chance." Aaron looked around, noticing the smiles on the faces of the people nearby. They seemed content, healthy, even happy. But something still didn't sit right with him. What if they don't want to stay here? What if they miss Earth, their real home? The overseer's response came slowly, deliberate, and measured. "Desire alone cannot undo reality. Returning to Earth would risk repeating past mistakes. However," it paused, its glow brightening momentarily, "we do not dictate forever. If humanity proves capable of coexisting with their planet, alternatives may arise." Aaron exchanged a glance with Clara and Daniel. The overseer's logic was cold, calculated, and maybe even correct. But it left no room for emotion, for the messy, imperfect nature of human life. Saving humanity was one thing, erasing their agency was another. As the overseers began to retreat, their forms fading into light, Aaron called out, "Wait! What happens next? What do you expect us to do?" The lead figure turned back briefly. "Share what you have learned. Decide wisely. The galaxy watches." With that, they vanished, leaving the trio standing in stunned silence. The weight of their discovery pressed down on them. Humanity wasn't lost, but finding its way back to Earth wouldn't be easy. Clara broke the quiet first. So, what now? Aaron took a deep breath, staring at the vibrant landscape around them. Now, we figure out how to tell the galaxy the truth and help humanity decide what kind of future it wants. The monolith loomed over them, its surface now dark and silent. Aaron, Clara, and Daniel stood frozen, their minds racing to make sense of what they had just witnessed. The images displayed on the alien structure were clear. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had been relocated. But to where? And why? This changes everything, Clara said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes were sharp with determination. If humanity is alive somewhere else, we need to find them. Aaron nodded. But how? That thing isn't exactly giving us directions. Daniel stepped closer to the monolith, his boots crunching softly against the icy ground. He ran a hand along its smooth surface, feeling the faint hum of energy beneath his fingers. Whatever this is, it's not just a message board. It's a machine, a tool. Maybe it can take us to wherever humanity went. Clara hesitated. Are you sure about that? We don't even know what this thing does. For all we know, touching it again could fry us, or worse. Aaron sighed. We don't have much choice. If we leave now, we'll never understand what happened here. And if there's even a chance we can find answers, or help humanity, we have to try. After a long pause, Clara reluctantly agreed. Fine, but let's be careful. One wrong move, and we might end up like everyone else who disappeared. With that, Aaron reached out and touched the monolith again. This time, instead of glowing softly, it erupted into a blinding light. The trio shielded their eyes as the air around them crackled with energy. Before they could react, the world seemed to shift. Colors blurred, sounds faded, and gravity pulled at them in strange ways. When the sensation finally stopped, they found themselves standing in an entirely new place. They weren't in Antarctica anymore. The cold was gone, replaced by warm sunlight streaming down from a bright blue sky. Lush green fields stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with trees bearing fruits unlike anything they'd ever seen. In the distance, they could see sprawling cities filled with people going about their lives. Humans. Is this real? Daniel asked, his voice barely above a whisper. It has to be. Aaron replied, though he wasn't entirely sure himself. Look at them. They're alive. They're thriving. Clara took a step forward, her heart pounding. She approached a nearby group of people who turned to look at her with curious expressions. They didn't seem frightened or hostile, just surprised. Who are you? One of them asked, a young woman with short brown hair and kind eyes. We're visitors, Clara stammered. From Earth. The woman frowned. Earth? That's where we came from. But it's been years since anyone lived there. The overseers brought us here. They said it was for our survival. The overseers, Aaron repeated, stepping forward. Who are they? Before the woman could answer, a low rumble echoed through the air. Everyone turned to see a shimmering portal open in the sky, revealing figures descending slowly toward the ground. These beings were tall and radiant, their forms almost too perfect to be natural. Their skin glowed faintly, and their eyes held an otherworldly calm. They're here, the woman said softly, bowing her head. The overseers. Aaron felt a mix of awe and unease as the figures approached. One of them raised a hand, and a voice entered their minds, not spoken, but felt. You seek answers, it said. We will provide them. But understand this. Earth was dying. Humanity's presence was unsustainable. Relocation was the only solution. Clara stared at the beings, her mind racing. Why didn't you tell us? Why take everyone without warning? The response came immediately. Your species lacked the capacity to accept the truth. Fear would have led to resistance. We acted to preserve life, not destroy it. Aaron exchanged a glance with Daniel. The overseer's words made a twisted kind of sense, but accepting them wasn't easy. Humanity had been saved, but at what cost? And what did this mean for Earth and the galaxy? The silence of Earth weighed heavily on Aaron, Clara, and Daniel as they stood in the deserted streets of what was once a bustling city. The emptiness was unnerving. Every corner they turned revealed more signs of life abruptly interrupted. Shopping carts left in the middle of sidewalks, phones abandoned on benches, half-eaten meals still sitting on tables. It felt like a ghost town, but without any trace of destruction or chaos. Whatever had happened here hadn't been violent. It had been precise. "We need to keep moving," Daniel said finally, breaking the eerie quiet. "Standing around won't get us answers." Aaron nodded, though his legs felt heavy. He glanced at Clara, who was studying her scanner with intense focus. "Anything new?" he asked. She shook her head. "Still nothing unusual, except for those energy readings we saw earlier. They're stronger now, closer to the surface, but I can't pinpoint their exact source yet." Daniel pointed toward the horizon. "If we want answers, we should check Antarctica. That's where most of Earth's secret projects were based. Maybe whatever caused this started there." It made sense. If something powerful enough to relocate billions of people had occurred, it likely originated from a place designed for secrecy and experimentation. Without wasting time, the trio returned to their ship and set a course for the icy continent. The journey south was cold and desolate, both outside and inside the cockpit. None of them spoke much, each lost in their own thoughts. Aaron couldn't shake the image of that child's toy lying forgotten in the cafe. Who were these overseers mentioned in the recording? And why would they take an entire planet's population without warning? When they arrived, the landscape was bleak, a vast expanse of snow and ice stretching endlessly in every direction. But beneath the frozen surface, something hummed faintly, almost imperceptibly. Clara's scanner lit up immediately. "There's something here," she said, her voice tinged with excitement and fear. "Something big." They followed the signal until they reached a massive structure buried deep under the ice. Using tools from the ship, they cleared away layers of frost to reveal a towering monolith. Its surface shimmered with strange patterns, glowing faintly as if alive. The sight took their breath away. "What is this thing?" Daniel muttered, stepping back instinctively. Clara approached cautiously, her scanner beeping rapidly. "It's not human-made," she said. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've ever seen." Aaron stepped closer, his curiosity outweighing his fear. As he touched the surface of the monolith, a low vibration coursed through his hand. Then, without warning, the object began to pulse brighter, its glow intensifying until it filled the entire cavern. "Get back," Daniel shouted, grabbing Clara by the arm and pulling her away. But Aaron stayed rooted to the spot, staring at the monolith as images flickered across its surface. They weren't random. They formed coherent scenes of planets, stars, and civilizations. Among them, Aaron could see glimpses of humanity, not on Earth, but somewhere else entirely. Thriving cities, smiling faces, fields of green stretching endlessly. It was beautiful, but also deeply unsettling. "It's showing us another world," Clara whispered, her eyes wide with awe. "A place where humanity might have gone." Daniel frowned. "You mean they didn't vanish? They were moved?" Aaron nodded slowly. "That's what it looks like. But by whom? And why?" Before anyone could answer, the monolith went dark again, leaving them in stunned silence. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't gone. It was somewhere else, relocated by forces far beyond their understanding. But as Aaron gazed at the monolith, he couldn't help but wonder, was this Act 1 of salvation, or something darker? Aaron couldn't stop thinking about what Clara had shown him. The strange energy readings near Earth's orbit gnawed at his mind. Something was wrong, and it wasn't just a technical glitch or a natural phenomenon. He needed to dig deeper, but he couldn't do it alone. Returning to the communication hub, he found Clara still hunched over her workstation, her eyes scanning lines of data. "Clara," Aaron said, pulling up a chair beside her, "I need your help. We have to figure out what's happening." She glanced at him, her expression serious. "You think I don't already know that? This isn't just about Earth being quiet. It's about why they're quiet, and what it means for everyone else." Aaron nodded. "Exactly. And if we don't find answers soon, someone else will. Someone who might not care about the truth." Clara hesitated, then sighed. "Fine. But we can't stay here. If we want real answers, we need to go closer to Earth itself." The idea sent a shiver down Aaron's spine, but he knew she was right. They couldn't solve this mystery from a distance. Together, they approached Daniel, a pilot known for his skill in navigating dangerous regions of space. Daniel was tall and broad-shouldered, with a calm demeanor that made people trust him instantly. When Aaron explained their plan, Daniel didn't hesitate. "If Earth's in trouble, we can't ignore it," he said firmly. "I'll take you there." The journey to Earth's solar system felt longer than usual. As they approached, the view outside the ship's windows grew increasingly unsettling. The planet looked peaceful, its blue oceans and swirling clouds as beautiful as ever. But something was off. There were no signs of activity, no ships leaving orbit, no satellites blinking in the darkness, nothing. It was as though Earth had been abandoned. "What do you see?" Aaron asked, leaning forward in his seat. Daniel frowned. "Nothing. Not even debris or wreckage. It's like everyone just disappeared." When they landed, the scene was even stranger. Cities stood intact, their buildings gleaming under the sunlight. Cars lined the streets, and parks were filled with trees swaying gently in the breeze. But there were no people, no voices, no movement, no life. It was as if time itself had frozen. "This is impossible," Clara whispered, stepping out of the ship. She knelt to examine the ground, running her fingers over the dirt. "There's no sign of destruction. No radiation, no toxins, nothing that would explain this." Aaron walked ahead, his heart pounding. He entered a nearby cafe, where cups of coffee sat untouched on tables. Newspapers lay open, their headlines dated weeks ago. In one corner, a child's toy lay abandoned on the floor. The image struck him deeply. Whatever had happened, it hadn't given anyone a chance to prepare. Back outside, Clara called them over. She had discovered a small device lying near a government building. It looked like a recording unit, its screen cracked but still functional. With trembling hands, she pressed play. Static filled the air before a voice emerged, calm but urgent. "This is an emergency broadcast. All citizens are advised to evacuate immediately. The anomaly is spreading faster than anticipated. Please remain calm and follow instructions." The message repeated over and over, growing fainter each time. "The anomaly," Aaron echoed. "What does that mean?" Clara shook her head. "I don't know, but it's connected to those energy readings. Whatever it is, it's powerful enough to erase billions of lives, or move them somewhere else." Daniel crossed his arms, his expression grim. "If that's true, then we're dealing with something far beyond us, something alien." Aaron stared at the horizon, his thoughts racing. Earth's silence wasn't just a mystery, it was a warning. And deep down, he knew they were only beginning to uncover the truth. The galaxy was vast, but Earth had always been special. It wasn't just because it was the birthplace of humanity. It was also because humanity had risen to become one of the most influential species in the universe. Their creativity, determination, and adaptability were unmatched. For centuries, Earth's seat at the Galactic Council stood as a symbol of their achievements. But today, something was wrong. Aaron sat in the grand hall of the Galactic Council, his fingers tapping nervously on his notepad. He was a journalist, known for chasing stories others ignored. This time, though, he didn't need to chase anything. The story had landed right in front of him, Earth's seat was empty. No representative from Earth had shown up for the annual summit. At first, people whispered excuses. Maybe there had been a delay, or perhaps some technical issue prevented them from arriving. But as hours passed, the whispers grew louder, turning into murmurs of concern. Aaron leaned over to a nearby delegate, a tall alien with shimmering blue skin. "Do you know what's going on?" he asked quietly. The alien shook its head, its large eyes reflecting unease. "No one knows," it replied in broken English. "This has never happened before." That was enough for Aaron. If no one knew, then someone needed to find out. He left the council hall and headed straight for the communication hub, where messages from across the galaxy were processed. Maybe there had been some kind of transmission from Earth explaining their absence. As he walked, his mind raced. What could keep Earth's leaders from attending such an important event? Was it war, disease, or something worse? At the hub, Aaron met Clara, a young astrophysicist who often worked with interstellar signals. She was already deep in thought when he approached her. Her dark hair was tied back, and her glasses perched precariously on her nose as she stared at a screen filled with lines of data. "Clara," Aaron said, trying to sound calm, "have you heard anything from Earth?" She looked up, frowning. "That's the strange part. There's nothing. No messages, no updates, nothing at all." She paused, then added, "And it gets weirder. All outgoing signals from Earth stopped 3 weeks ago. Not just official broadcasts. Everything. Even civilian communications." Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. 3 weeks. That meant whatever had happened wasn't recent. It had been building up, unnoticed by the rest of the galaxy. Could it be equipment failure? He asked, though he doubted it himself. Clara shook her head. "Not possible. Earth's systems are too advanced for that. Besides, we'd still pick up residual signals if it were just a malfunction." She turned back to her screen, typing furiously. "There's something else here, though. Look at this." Aaron leaned closer. On the screen was a graph showing energy readings near Earth's orbit. Normally, these readings would fluctuate slightly due to natural cosmic activity. But now, they showed sharp spikes, patterns that didn't make sense. "What does this mean?" Aaron asked. "I don't know yet," Clara admitted. "But it's not normal. Whatever caused this, it might have something to do with why Earth went silent." Aaron nodded slowly. His instincts told him this was bigger than anyone realized. Earth's silence wasn't just a mystery, it was a warning. And if no one paid attention, the consequences could ripple across the galaxy. As he left the hub, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something enormous, something that would change everything. Little did he know, his investigation was only beginning, and the answers he sought would lead him farther than he ever imagined.